All right, everybody, and we're back with Nick Mattingly, the CEO and co-founder of Switcher Studio. Nick, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So, Nick, we wanted to bring you in, like Jay and I talked about before. Switcher Studio has been a game changer for us for not only this podcast, our other podcast resource, Real Talk About Real Estate, but we're finding all kinds of different ways to use it in our business. And we think there are probably a lot of our listeners, across the board in real estate, in media, in marketing, all across the board that'd be interested to hear about what Switcher Studio is, how they could use it, and how we've used it so far.
Oh, I mean, I've just brought it up just in passing conversation to a few people in the real estate space in different markets around the country. Tampa this morning. I talked to a guy in Tampa this morning about it, and Chattanooga, and Philadelphia. People that are like do what we do here and are just super excited to see, more finished product from us using Switcher and considering using it for their business. So I'm pretty excited today to hear from the man who brought it to you.
Yeah. And especially because, and this is the OUR502 podcast, this is a locally based business. And remind me, are you from Louisville? Are you Louisville native or found your way into Louisville?
Louisville-ish.
Louisville-ish.
Okay, elaborate.
Sure.
I grew up in the sticks, Meade County, about an hour west of Louisville,
Okay.
Fort Knox.
Gotcha.
And
I'm from Hardin County
Okay.
originally. So I'm an E-Town guy.
Yeah.
Got friends and family in Meade County. What part of Meade County?
Painville.
I have family in Painville.
Uh-oh.
Or I did.
Maybe we're related.
I don't know. No, like Flaherty is where most of my
Okay.
family is now. My grandmother, this is so off the board. Yeah, my grandmother was born. Her family lived in Painville when my grandmother was born.
Yeah,
So
small world.
small world. They are Gilberts from Vine Grove.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, long story short.
So what brought you into Louisville in the first place?
I went to Bellarmine.
Okay. Did you know this?
I'm a Bellarmine grad.
We've got a little bit of a Bellarmine mafia going on.
Okay.
Our core co-founder group, we're mostly like
So what year did you graduate?
headhunting and pulling people out.
What year did you graduate from Bellarmine?
2010.
2010. Okay, so I'm in 04. My wife is 05.
All right.
And Scotty Davenport was our last guest here on OUR502.
Great.
Absolutely.
We used to produce the Scotty Davenport show before we even got into Switcher.
There you go.
Amazing.
Cool.
The
Okay.
TV broadcast.
So
It's all coming together.
this is so meta. I don't even know what to do
It's
right
about to
now.
get more meta, too, because if you're watching this live on Facebook right now, we are streaming using Switcher Studio. So
Yeah,
this
what
is
are we even talking about? So I'll give like the 15-second version. Switcher's a video creation platform. It's
Yeah.
a way of making video. You edit while you shoot. And we're using mobile devices, iPhone and iPad, and we can jump back into that. But I mean, Bellarmine brought me to Louisville. Been here for a while. Got really involved with the campus radio station. Started a company with one of my friends doing media and video production. And we saw a lot of people that got excited about making content, about doing video on the internet. And they're like, oh, this is expensive. This is really complicated. We might need to hire somebody to run it. And so you get people that are like, yeah. And then just this huge lag before they're actually in a place where they could act on it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so we helped with that process. But in doing that, we're like, this just is not the way it should be.
Yeah.
And we had used just about everything else out there, and it's all duct taped together, and tried to imagine a better way. So
That's really cool.
Awesome. Born out of necessity.
I really wish I knew all that. And you know something else I really love, and this is a little bit of a digression, but what I really love about Switcher is the name very much explains the product. Like the switch back and forth and the camera angles that we're working today, it just makes total sense. It's like, why would you call anything else?
It's not named like Florp or something where it's like some random word and you have to like, what does that mean?
We didn't drop a vowel. It's all. It's
You
like,
didn't drop a
it's
vowel.
Switcher.
You didn't add an extra consonant. Like
Yeah.
we were talking about literally yesterday.
Yeah.
What was the business? I don't even want to.
We might not want to name drop it, but it was a common word, but they added an extra third syllable. So it was a word that had a double C and it was CCC instead of
Yeah.
CC.
Oh, that's what it was. I remember.
C3.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just like, it's just an extra consonant. Like
Yeah.
this is born out of the URL domain culture where you have to have a memorable domain.
Exactly.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Stitcher, Switcher is the perfect name, and it makes total
Well, one
sense.
thing I want to know is you're talking kind of like with the early days of what would eventually become Switcher Studio, I guess. What did it look like when it first got off the ground? Like, what was it like starting it, and how has it morphed over the years?
Yeah. So our CTO and technical co-founder is in Switzerland.
Okay.
And when we were trying to dream this whole thing up, we came across a really cool product that was doing some things with video, reached out to the company, ended up being one guy. And we just hashed it out and shared some ideas back and forth, and came up with a very basic version of Switcher where you could see video from 4 different cameras. You could hit a button and record, and then you could stream that out to YouTube or other places. And this was before Meerkat or Periscope or like the whole social live thing.
Because live was very new. I remember when Periscope came on the scene, and that was like right before Facebook Live really like started getting out there, and it was like people were blown away that you could go live on your social media page. And
so the first iteration was that idea of switching, and we were using mobile devices, and in 2014 they were okay, but it wasn't nowhere near the quality you'd get with a DSLR. But we kind of saw the writing on the wall. These things are just going to keep. We can just sit back, and every 6 months there's a new, better camera. How cool is that?
Right.
And we can always make our cameras smarter and better through software.
That's cool.
That's, one of the really cool things about Switcher. But from day one, we started charging money, and we charged a subscription, which was crazy at that time. If an app wasn't free or more than $1, like, people moved on.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we really innovated in that for the type of platform that we were building, but it was still very much identified as an app.
Yeah.
And so, like, we think of app as a dirty word because Switcher is a platform. There's an online account. We have tools where you can share your desktop. We have a really great team, and we offer support and community, and all of this is included as part of your subscription.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of value across the board that goes way beyond just the thing you install on your phone.
Well, and that's one of the things that I think is really great about it, is that it's not a piece of equipment that you put into your studio, right? There's plenty of products out there, like you can see on this table and on this cart back here. We've got equipment on equipment that does some of these things, but it's equipment you already have.
Exactly.
And we've already got a studio full of it. We have 4 iPhones in the room and an iPad, and it's just that we didn't have to go buy something to make it a possibility. We just had to subscribe, and now, like, you can literally go from the first day. And I think there's a free trial available too if people want to do it, right? You can download it for 14 days and just go.
No credit card required. Just take it for a spin.
Just take it for a spin. Well, and that's what's so compelling is you don't ask for a credit card. That was great, because that to me just says you're willing to stand behind your product. You can bounce after 14 days if you want, and we're not going to charge you anything.
Yeah.
We're just going to shut.
I'd love to know what the number is of people that actually, like, that do end up purchasing it after 14 days and people that don't. I'm sure that there's probably a lot of people that use it after the 14 days, even though they didn't have to give their credit card in the first place, just because they get to the free reign to use any of the features they want to use.
I will say we have subscribers in over 115 countries.
Yeah. Wow.
And in the past year, we've also had the opportunity to not only work with individuals and small businesses, but like we've done a pilot with Cisco and WWE and like huge brands, Golf Channel. We went on site for 2 different events and helped them with behind the scenes content they were shooting with iPhones.
Big names.
Streaming on
This
Facebook.
is like Cisco, the company, not like.
Yeah,
not the thong song guy. Not that guy.
Yeah, they make routers.
Wrong Cisco.
No.
Wait,
sorry.
so
I'm
are you
a little goofy today?
I'm gonna cut you off before you do any more damage. So are you still Louisville based, or is it based here in Louisville still, or is that just where the genesis was in Louisville?
Yeah, we're headquartered here in Louisville.
Cool.
We opened an office in Switzerland and are growing the team there. That kicked off last November. And then we do have distributed team members as well. We've got a guy in Seattle. Mark. We've got JC out in Austin.
Wow. Yeah.
So
is that where Mark? I had a great talk with Mark yesterday. Is he? I know he's. I assume out west.
Yeah. He's Seattle.
Yeah, in Seattle. Okay, so fantastic. Great conversation. We had lots of talks about some of the use cases and things like that. I mean,
and just kind of spitballed ideas for how to use it.
Really, really exciting. You've got from what I've witnessed though so far, at least in Mark, a great team member who really believes in the vision. And that's the when you ask the question about headquartered, it's funny to me anymore, especially in the tech space, which I'm sure you'd identify as a tech company, right? You don't have to really be in any one particular place, and it's got to be amazing. I mean, he gets to take business trips to Switzerland, and that's a write-off.
Yeah, seriously. Austin,
it's a good place
Switzerland.
To be. Yeah.
Austin's not bad.
Seattle's
not bad. I've been to both of those places. Switzerland's a different story.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm due for a trip. So.
There you go. Well, So headquartered here in Louisville, Bellarmine University grad, which is near and dear to my heart as an alum. I guess my question, have you gotten a lot of buy-in from other Louisville businesses? I mean, have you seen, the sky's the limit, okay? Your reach is so much beyond what is here in Louisville, but have you seen local companies? Because honestly, to me, we use tech service type companies that are headquartered all over the place, but when I found out you were in Louisville, that that made a lot of difference to me.
Yeah. Yes and no. I'll give the long answer, and then we'll squeeze this back down. So, we first launched this product in 2014, and we went 2 years bootstrap self-funded. So a lot of our other founders had day jobs. Dan and I had the agency, and we're doing video production. And I decided to go all in. So I was the only one that was full-time with Switcher up until that point. We had a lot of other people contributing. We were trying to eat our own dog food and use this thing and break it and talk to people. And in 2016, we restructured the company so we could get financing and did a relaunch of the product and grew up a little bit.
And now it's exploded, right?
And we did $1 million in revenue last year. We're at $150,000 monthly recurring revenue today. Like it's growing, and again, we have subscribers all over the world. But to do that, we kind of had to think bigger and look beyond Louisville.
Yeah. And it's almost like you didn't get a chance to like grassroots grow. It's like you went from, like you said, the bootstrap version of the company to all over the country. Like that. I mean, it's only been 3 years since then.
I really think we have the opportunity to change the way people think about video, to be a go-to solution for how content gets made. Because ask any business how they make video, and everyone's going to give you a different answer.
Yeah.
And we can't completely change that, but I think we can be a part of the conversation.
I think a big piece probably, too, is the emphasis on video in the business world has changed a lot in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
I mean, you hear a lot about it's all about video now. Podcasts are having like a moment, too, or maybe their moment is slowly coming down, but video is one of those things where everyone wants to pour into making more video content.
Yeah, I mean, and going back to the Louisville piece, I think there is a real opportunity to really set Louisville on fire and for us to be more engaged and involved and use this as an example for what other cities and communities can do around the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is really us asking, if you think video is important to your business or your organization or your personal brand, reach out to us. Check out Switcher at switcherstudio.com. We can provide more resources. We're looking at planning workshops and sessions to help people, not just with the product, but to think about video holistically. And would love to see more of that happen here in Louisville. One great example, Allie Troutman with Wicked Sheets has used Switcher, and
she's also been on this show.
QVC now.
Yeah,
she was our inaugural guest.
There you go.
This. So Allie is a good friend of mine.
Yeah, awesome.
And funny story, which has also been a part of this podcast. Allie introduced me to Gabe's wife, who kept my first child in our home. She was a nursing school student at the time. And she introduced me to Gabe, and we wouldn't be sitting here doing this if it weren't for Allie Troutman. So really meta. It's going to keep going.
I know.
It's going to keep going. So, Gabe, something you said a minute ago really kind of resonates with me, and we don't have to litigate this here, but to me, I think podcasts definitely have staying power.
Yeah.
Okay, and
they're
my
changing
opinion
a lot too.
You know my opinion. I think they have to have companion video.
Yeah.
Okay, audio content is fantastic because you can do anything while you consume audio content.
Yeah.
Video requires eyeballs. So, I mean, you could run on the treadmill and listen to a podcast. You can't as easily while you're bouncing up and down, running on the treadmill,
or
watch
drive.
video.
Drive is a great example.
Well, driving is another thing, and that's safety first for sure.
Yeah.
But companion video, I remember in my industry, and I'll speak to my industry for a moment. I remember when I was told that you had to do video. You got to do video. And people still say it. Okay. And then it was, you got to do video. Oh, but I don't like the way I look. And I look silly when I'm on camera. And it's terrible. My clients are going to think I'm low rent. And then it was like, you got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then it became, well, no, you got to do it and do it well. Okay. Which was a big barrier to a lot of people. And then it was, you know what, go ahead and do live because then it doesn't have to be done well. And now it's like, it's got to be
can be done well.
It's got to be done well. Yeah. Every piece of content you put out has to be polished. Something that Gabe and I said in the very beginning, we're not going to do a podcast that sounds like we recorded it inside a shoebox.
Yeah.
Like it has to, like if I don't get listeners, that's one thing, but the 30 seconds that they tune in, they have to know that this is well produced.
Yeah. Well, and audio is so important. I mean, if you don't have good audio or you're not telling a good story, people are going to tune out.
It devalues your video.
Exactly.
Right? So what we found and what we were doing, it's no secret, is we were shooting on 2 DSLR cameras, and Gabe was spending a ton of time editing to get the professional polish, the overlays and things that Switcher does for us, and literally like instantly right now as we're on Facebook Live this minute, it looks the same quality as the previously produced video content that we'd put out. And beyond that, I mean, I'm sitting here, I get your website pulled up, I'm looking at the pricing. There's no reason, there's literally no reason not to. If you produce any sort of video content, you need this product.
Well, it's like the key is, and we talk about a lot in business and in real estate, we talk about differentiating yourself from competitors in the market, right? It's a common theme in business talk. But what you said a minute ago about how when you say you're going live, it doesn't matter. It's like it doesn't matter what the production quality is like because you're going live. Everyone expects live to be kind of gritty and you're on the ground and maybe it's pixelated because you have a bad signal and the sound might be because you're outside in front of a house, right? That's what people expect now. So when you're scrolling and you see the big red live rectangle and it looks good, you're like, wait, this is live? This is right now? Like it doesn't. This isn't shot on an iPhone, and it's still shot on an iPhone. I see videos
today that I'm like, that's made with Switcher.
Yeah,
yeah. No, I was on the Facebook group the other day, and there was a guy that was had posted a snippet of like a kid's like soccer video, like soccer match. Mm-hmm. He's got like 3 cameras set up.
And it has the score overlaid.
And the scoreboard is on there. I'm like, what? Like, you know, he's driving down, or I don't know, drive. I'm sorry, I'm a football
He's
guy.
soccering down
He's
the
soccering
soccer
down the pitch with the ball, and it switches to a shot at the goal, and he's kicked and he scores.
It's like you're watching TV. It's like you're watching Little League as if it was on ESPN. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting, and I don't know, I'm a little.
But it's so different from what you're used to seeing. I guess is what I'm saying. It's so different from what you're used to seeing that it immediately conveys value. It immediately conveys professionalism. Like I know what I'm doing. Like look at this. Like we know what we're doing.
Yeah. I think you look at a lot of businesses or people that want to make video, and there's this paralysis. It's I don't have the equipment, I don't have the time, or I need to pay somebody else to do it, and then I don't have the budget.
Yeah.
And then even when you go through all the motions to make that happen, it's just as important what you don't show as what you do show. And there's this expectation that it's super polished.
Yeah.
And then you put it up there, and if it's uploaded and put on Facebook, it's gonna get buried after a few days. It's gone. If you put it on YouTube and there aren't a ton of comments, or people comment and you don't respond, like, are you really getting the value out of that? And like, there are so many different types of video, whether it's a 30-second clip or the like 3 to 5 minute YouTube standard or a TV commercial. They all have their own place, but there's something different about just capturing what's happening in front of you from different perspectives and making it interesting.
Yeah.
And as soon as you're done having it done, you can go back to work, or if you choose to do a little more polish.
Well, yeah, it's like you said, we eliminated hours of legwork by not having to edit this stuff in post, which is what we're doing.
It met our standard. It meets our standard. Like we are happy producing something with, somewhat of a transition from one angle to the other, with some overlays, with some, very, very, I mean, we could go back to editing and we could definitely do some stuff with the finished
it looked
product.
good. It just took a lot longer.
But it's still, I mean, right now it's met our standard, and I'm sure we'll continue to look at raise the bar as well. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
So features.
We want a higher bar too.
You want a higher bar. So, features will probably continue, and that may be a decent transition.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us what's in store for Switcher? Like we know the video chat. We know, and our listeners go to their website, check it out, switcherstudio.com, and check out all the features. But the video chat would be bringing someone off location on to a Switcher production,
which is huge.
Which is huge. With overlays, multiple camera angles, etc. So what's next? Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking is the next iteration of what Switcher can do to kind of change the game for video production?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've seen is this started out as mostly an iPad experience, and there were a lot of people that were trying it on their phone. And so it worked, but it wasn't really optimized for that, and they were two very different experiences. Okay. So that was something that we were able to observe and kind of see happen, and just in measuring this, we did a redesign for the phone, and now the phone and the iPad experience are very unified. And there's feature parity. Like whether you're at an iPad and you need that screen real estate, or you're just on the go and on your phone, it's the same experience, and you have all the same capabilities. So that's something that we're really proud of, and I would love to see more videos made from just the phone. We also have seen videos that aren't doing the multi-camera piece, where they're putting their logo on screen, or they're switching from the camera to a photo or a video, and just switching from that perspective with just one device adds a lot more interest than just one camera point and shoot that you're going to get with most other solutions.
Sure.
So as we continue to kind of monitor these uses and see where people take it, one of the things that we're most excited now is a big focus on mobility and letting people go places they've never gone before or wouldn't otherwise because it's expensive or there's cables or it just doesn't make sense. Really embracing that mobility component and looking at how we can make this more interactive. So one example we used with video chat, we introduced a feature in January of this year where you can share a link and that other person can just click the link and it will work, period. iPhone, Android, Mac, PC.
That's awesome.
Doesn't matter. And you can see and hear one another. So you can start having a conversation. You can add these production elements and you can record that or share it out live on social for other people to watch. But when we talk about Skype or Hangouts or Zoom or like video chat type things, it's for the most part people parked in front of a webcam.
Yeah. Yep.
It's an interview. You can use that same capability with Switcher and share a link and have someone that's on the corner across the street or down on the football field interviewing the coach.
Like definitely something
we want
we've
to
been
spark
about.
some creativity and taking the things that already exist and trying them in new and unique ways.
Yeah.
One of the other things we've added more recently is the ability to not only see comments from Facebook as they come in while you're using Switcher, but to select the really great ones and favorite those. You can kind of build a collection.
Yeah.
And so when there's a natural stopping point where you want to address the audience, you've kind of curated these.
The ones you want to respond to.
And you can feature those on screen and you can see the name and the photo for that person. Like they get credit, they become a part of your broadcast. And so that interactivity, like looking at how people are already engaging and consuming on social and making that a part of the experience where you don't have to go look for it. It's just innately a part of Switcher and that experience.
Well, one thing I think is really cool about this too, from the way you describe it, it sounds like a lot of the best ideas and some of the best features that have made Switcher really great came from just paying attention to what users were doing, right? Just like watching people use Switcher Studio and see what they come up with. I know when we started using it, we were immediately prompted to be part of the very active Facebook group. There's the Switcher Studio enthusiast group where people are showing off the kit that they use, or they're showing off, this is the most recent live feed that we did. Feel free to rip off any cool ideas. And there's a lot of information, but not just for consumers of Switcher Studio, right? It's also information for you to say, what are people looking for? What do they want to? What features are they not getting right now that we can implement? And sometimes it's just the really simple things. The simple thing that just changes the game for somebody might be your next best feature, right?
Yeah, well, it's almost like crowdsourcing your R&D, right? Like
really,
you take. Inherently, I would say that people that do video production are relatively creative people.
And when they do a good job, they want to show it off.
And when they do a good job, they want to show it off. When they appreciate, the finished product, they show it to people. And so you're sitting here, just step back and let the creative people show you exactly what they want. Right. And then I'm sure your dev team is like, can we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
And we've got some blue sky ideas that nobody's asking for, and you'll see those eventually. But we've also got our ear to the ground, and we want to get a pulse on this. And
well, here that leads me into another thing I want to ask, and this could be just completely wrong, but I wonder. A minute ago, we talked about how you don't have to buy equipment. You have the equipment already. One of the things I see more often than anything in the group is people asking for recommendations about what pieces of gear they should buy. Mm-hmm. Like what gimbal should I be using for my iPhone for stabilization? And like what soundboard, what mixing kit are you guys using? Have you and the team at Switcher ever considered getting into like having Switcher Studio peripherals that you sell, like your own pieces of equipment, or is that something that you don't want to wander into?
I think that's one of the beautiful things about Switcher is that we don't have hardware and we're not trying to solve those problems. There are a lot of really great solutions on the market, and they change so quickly. It would really change our DNA and what we're trying to accomplish.
You'd almost have to put stuff out constantly.
So same thing with wait 6 months and Apple puts out a better phone. We wait 6 months and somebody came out with a better mic or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So paying attention to what other people are using and what they recommend and surfacing those best ideas or things that have just been really put through the grinder and that this works. Mm-hmm. That's something we find a lot of value in.
It's focus.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
It's focus. I mean, it's easy to have a lack of focus as an entrepreneur, right? I mean, we've talked about, this has been a theme with all of our guests. If you'll remember, we talked to Allie Trutman about it. We talked about her a minute ago. She could try and solve all the world's problems with respect to sleeping, but she keeps it to moisture wicking bed sheets. Like that is her thing.
Zeroed in.
That is that's her vertical. She's right there, and she's solving that one problem. Okay, helping sweaty people spoon. Remember that was the title of the episode.
Go check it out, episode 1.
Episode 1, helping sweaty people spoon. Anyway, I think that's really smart. Stick to what you do well and be passionate about it, and the people will show you how they want to use it. I mean, that's honestly, if you want to talk about Apple, the iPhone, I mean, that's what they did with the app culture, is introduce this marketplace for people to develop technology on top of their piece of equipment. And that's, I mean, it's obviously been a game changer. And honestly, I think it's smart to stay in your lane. I'm a real estate guy.
One of the things that we have been investing more in, and I'm excited to see where this takes us in the future, is around the interactivity piece, like we mentioned, Facebook comments.
Yeah.
I can imagine in the not so distant future being able to bring in a tweet as part of Switcher.
Yeah.
Looking at things that happen elsewhere.
Yeah.
We also have a new product we launched last year called Switcher for Teams. And some of the things that it offers is the ability to invite other people that can have Switcher accounts. And so all of those people can contribute and make content for the same brand or for the same Facebook page or for the same YouTube page.
Yeah.
We also recently introduced the ability to share assets. So if you have photos or videos or particular branding you want everyone to use, that's shared across the entire organization.
That's awesome, yeah.
Or someone could be doing a production and someone else could be building graphics, and now you have access to them in real time. And then the other piece that we've iterated on this in Switcher for Teams is the video chat feature is not only one guest, but you can do up to 4 or 5 participants. And there's a lot more capabilities around that. We're experimenting with screen sharing, so the guests could share their display, or that could be a part of it.
We have definitely done some brainstorming around what we could do with that technology. We spent most of the afternoon yesterday.
Pieces outside of what you see on the iPhone and iPad that really enhance this entire experience.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things that are going to allow us to really innovate and differentiate and allow people to do new and interesting things.
That's awesome. Well, here's what I really want to know. We've spent the last 25 minutes or so talking about how Switcher Studio is the greatest thing that's ever graced the planet in the tech industry.
We're a little fanboy status right now, I'll just be honest.
But every guest that we talk about, especially guests in business, I love to hear about adversities and challenges that came up that had to be overcome in order for you to get where you are now. You talked about all of the great things you rolled out and how it grew. Excuse me. I want to know, was there anything that you rolled out in the early stages that just completely did not land with your clients, with your consumer base? What feature was just like a drop, or has it just been smooth sailing since day one?
Oh, no. It's all been a learning experience.
Yeah.
And we don't always have the right answer. We've got a whole graveyard of other products that we didn't talk about. We just kind of wanted to see how people use them and what worked and what didn't. And
I'm curious.
Well,
because I think we're safe. Like
Switcher Studio is the best of.
We're borderline we're borderline like
this one makes us money.
Commercial. Like this one works. What didn't work? Can you share any of that?
Yeah, we at one point had a product that was completely free, and it was very limited, but it allowed you to do like Facebook and YouTube live video. And so one of the ideas is that we could use this as a way to get more visibility for Switcher, that we can get a bigger audience.
Right.
Well, it's not a Snapchat or Instagram success. It doesn't have hundreds of millions of followers, and so now we have another product that we have to maintain, that we have to support. But we can't because there's no revenue to back it.
Well,
and
I think that, like what we talked about early on,
it's a detriment to our core base to offer this other solution that we're not even paying any attention to.
So the freemium kind of model didn't exactly
work.
Think
about it. I mean, Switcher Studio.
There's maybe a place for freemium, and maybe we didn't have the right approach or the right resources. But what we tried,
you learned
at that time.
You learned, and that's honestly, that literally. I mean, we're geeked on the product, and we like what it does for us, and we're pretty excited about it. So we spend a lot of time talking about that. But ultimately, this show, the ethos of this show is, what do business leaders, entrepreneurs, influencers, where do they succeed? Where do they fail? How do they bootstrap? How do they eat their own dog food? Just like you said before,
right.
Like how do they get to now? Right. So that's a part of your story. Like the things that didn't work are as much a part of your story as the things that have.
Yeah.
The fact that I gather, and you didn't outright say this, that you haven't gotten the support locally that you would have hoped. Is that fair?
That's fair.
That's fair. I'm not asking you to call out a specific business.
Hey, but I love it here, and I keep coming back.
He didn't move to Austin,
right?
But no, I and it's again like, and again, I think. I mean, you talked about the successes that you had. You don't need our help. But, I mean, honestly, a big goal of mine is to expose through this show, and I hope it blows up, and to where I can expose local business to more local people.
Yeah.
And you're selling in 100+ countries, but it would gotta be able to feel good if you had a ton of support here locally. And I think it's a shame that you don't. I'm going to do my part.
I mean, it's an easy fix. I think that's something that one of the great things about Louisville, too, at least in my experience, is a lot of Louisville businesses are committed to supporting other Louisville businesses.
Yeah.
And if for some reason, I think it less has to do with Switcher Studio or any other particular business visibility. Maybe some of these businesses haven't really thought about or imagined what they could do with video, because their idea of their video capabilities is pretty...
Well, and there's a lot of things that we can't solve with product, or that we can't solve with Switcher. I mean, just making the decision that you want to make video, or knowing what you want to put on screen or what you're going to say, that's up to you.
Yeah.
And it takes time, and sometimes it takes a special type of person.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you can't be that person, but it's a barrier.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as easy as I would like to believe that it is, or that we're trying to make it to be. And there's always going to be gaps when it comes to the creative part or telling your story.
Yeah, you kind of have to have the vision.
I think that's maybe one area where we can help rally Louisville, or around those things that we can't solve with product, and getting people to share in those, in the same way that we have our user group and community for core Switcher customers, is helping educate people around those pieces that have nothing to do with us or our company, but just how do you think about content? How do you think about video? How can we help more businesses in Louisville communicate in that way?
Yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. I don't know. I feel like we have. Correct me. I'm interested to hear both your opinions on this. It's almost like we have two cities here. Okay, and I love Louisville. I'm not from Louisville. I mean, we're from a place that's a lot more similar than it is to Louisville. But here in Louisville, to me, I feel like there are two cities. There's a community of extremely creative people.
Yeah.
Okay, like the city loves the arts. The city has a great park system. The city is really progressive in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And then there is this. Then there is the median, and then there is people that are just very stuck in decades ago type ways of thinking.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think the creatives and the progressives are really moving things, and you see a lot of that in business.
Yeah.
But then there's resistance. I mean, I talk about it all the time. It took us how many decades to get a 2nd Street bridge painted? I mean, like the East End Bridge was like, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I would like to see more momentum.
Yeah.
With respect to small business, supporting small business locally, with kind of this kind of tech mindset and moving things forward and accepting new ideas.
Yeah, and I think to some extent people need examples. They need to be inspired, and it will take that creative class to kind of lead the way. But we've got to bridge the gap. It can't just be happening on its own and nobody talking to one another.
I absolutely agree. This show started in a brainstorming session, and I put a post out on Facebook because I knew I'd get the most engagement there about who's your favorite local business personality, entrepreneur, influencer, et cetera. Hundreds of responses, right? Yeah. And some of them you've definitely heard of. And I looked at Gabe and Marcy and I said no immediately to these names, because they're not the kind of people that represent what we're trying to do in terms of being progressive with respect to business. It's not the person that would face up a camera and talk and like press go and talk to their consumers, the customers they work with on a daily basis on a live video.
That's the hardest part, hitting the button.
Hitting the button and saying go. Yeah, that's it. And it was actually kind of hard explaining the what we wanted to accomplish with this show to a few people. They were like, well, why wouldn't you want so and so? Everybody knows them.
Yeah,
well,
they're everywhere.
But they're not the kind of person that would say go. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so tell me this. Let's back away from that, and let's say, tell me something you really, really love about Louisville. That's a broad question.
And you're on the spot now, so.
Food.
This is a common theme.
Okay, so we've asked this question of every guest.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think we asked Scotty, but I know Scotty's answer.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Louisville restaurant?
Butchertown Grocery.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Plus, one of our offices is in the Butchertown area, so it's it's super convenient.
That's a good one.
As Marcy rolls her eyes, she wants me to buy like an old dilapidated building in Butchertown. They're like,
hey, now's the time. Soccer stadium's going up.
Yeah, but that the writing's been on the wall. The prices are outrageous now. If I could find one that was actually literally falling down, because that's cheaper than land. Gosh.
I guess another way to answer that question, I live in Germantown, like Schnitzelburg.
Yeah.
And it's just such a weird, neat thing.
Yeah.
Like you're in a subdivision. There are houses.
Yeah.
And then there's a barber shop, and then there's houses, and then there's like a place you can get ice cream.
Yeah.
And then there's houses, and then there's like bars just scattered
just all
in
together.
the middle of houses. Like everyone's super friendly. Everybody walks their dogs.
Yeah.
If one goes missing, you can hop on next door, and somebody's already taken it in and is like made best friends with
That's
it.
There you go. So
it's a small town in Louisville.
My favorite part of Schnitzelburg is the fact that you have, essentially two bars across the street from one another that could not be more different.
Oh yeah.
In Monic and Chex. Like, there is literally no two places that could be more different, and
right across the street.
And they both crush it.
Yeah.
You can't hardly get a table in either one of them. But
oh, I mean, I live 2 blocks from that intersection, and like Derby City Chop Shop just opened there.
Oh yeah.
I walked to get a haircut.
Yep.
I mean, I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Haircut, coffee, beer, donuts.
One of our first offices, we've got a lot of. We've moved a lot as we've grown, and we've always looked for deals or like partnered up with other startups or like people we've done business with, and now we're on our own, and we're grown up and we're doing our own thing. But one of our first offices was, and the reason I now live in Germantown, where Bean Coffee is now.
Oh yeah.
Was previously
that corner,
like
Goss Avenue.
Yeah, Goss Avenue, Texas and Goss.
Yeah.
That was our first office.
Okay.
And there was another startup called Fresh Fry that was there. Alex Fromeyer with Beam that moved up to Columbus. Actually ended up buying that building and had done some of their work there.
That's really cool. Used to be a T-shirt shop there. What was
Yeah.
that T-shirt? Custom T-shirt startup.
Oh gosh.
Where you could
I know what
literally,
you're talking about.
they had an app and you could like type in your stuff and then they would have it and then print you a T-shirt with whatever you wrote.
Gotcha.
And it was like same day. This was a while back though.
So we got like a really great deal on
That's
like
cool.
office space when we had no money, and
There
we were
you
like, whatever, we'll go check out Germantown.
Just gotta get an internet
and now
signal.
it's a great coffee shop.
Yeah.
And now I live there.
Well,
so.
I mean, no, absolutely. I mean, I met one of our agents for coffee at Bean the other day. Like, I mean, literally, yeah.
That's great.
We've done a lot of business in that area. I love Germantown. I started buying houses in Germantown in 2009, and
that turned out okay for you.
Those are decent investments.
Right.
Yeah.
10 years later.
We got in right before things got silly.
It did get a little silly. Okay, so Butchertown Grocery. That's a great pick, by the way. I'm a huge fan. So, I mean, anything else about Louisville that just really jumps out at you? Because, I mean, again, I can tell that you have an affinity for Louisville because you continue to operate your business here. I mean, you could go anywhere, it seems. Your business can be done from anywhere. Like, it sounds to me like your customer base is all over the planet. So what is it about Louisville specifically, or what do you like? What keeps you here? Just roots? Bellarmine? Germantown?
I mean, it's where I'm at. It's 2019. It doesn't matter where you are, but it's a great place to be. I mean, the food's great. Fall is great. The people are great.
And I think it's like you said, too, there's a ton of potential. Louisville has a lot of potential to grow, just like, Louisville businesses have a lot of potential to grow by using new tech. It all goes together, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, I do business with some people from different places around the country, and, there are certain areas that have become so cost prohibitive. It's pretty insane. I mean, we talk about it on our real estate show quite a bit, but like people in New York, they're done with New York. People in California are just done with California.
Well, and it's not unique to have a successful business here. Look at the pillars of this community, and like UPS and GE Appliances and Humana and Yum and Papa John's, and the list just keeps going. Brown Forman.
Yeah.
I mean, there are huge industry leaders that are right here in Louisville.
That's true. Lot of people to look up to here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of history too. I didn't have the pleasure of growing up in Louisville, which you didn't either. So there's something special about choosing it to me.
Yeah.
If that, I don't know if nothing against people that were born and raised here.
Yeah, none taken.
You can have the pride that I can't have for this place, but choosing it is something special. None taken. Get out of here, dude.
Well, hey, I know we are running short on time. We've kept you here pretty long, but I have two more questions I want to know the answer to.
Let's do it.
First of all, I mean, you're pretty young, right? How old are you? If you're willing to say it and put 31. It out there. 31. Okay. Yeah. So very young. 3 years ago is when this really took off. 2 years before that was when this all kind of started,
This is not going to be a millennial thing, is it?
No, I'm not asking anything about millennials. He has kind of a millennial obsession we won't touch on. Back in 2014, right? You're a very young entrepreneur in the space, and like tech is this huge, wide open world where you can go any direction. If you were going to do something other, it sounds like Switcher Studio kind of like grabbed you and just like shot off like a rocket, and you didn't have a choice but to go where it went. But if you weren't going to do Switcher Studio, what did you always envision was going to be where you went? Was it always video, and was it always that, or did it kind of spawn out of this?
I think my journey goes back even further, and it's all just led up to this. At Bellarmine, I was really involved with the campus radio station.
Okay.
Nice. Ended up being station manager for 2 years, and we developed a ton of programming, and we completely changed the format of the station, and we like built a streaming app, and
cool.
That was a really great experience for me to see people come together behind one idea and really make it something bigger than it was. And I think that's something that has always been a part of me, and everything that I do is just bringing people together. I don't have all the answers, and I know the things that I don't know.
Yeah.
And finding people that can fill that gap is something that's really, really important. So, I've always wanted to have my own business. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he did electrical and HVAC. I grew up wiring houses. And I'd say I've always been wired, but that's just
yeah.
Been saving that one.
That's good. That's good. I like it.
But I started out in design. I was doing print. I did radio, and it just seemed like video was the one thing where it all came together.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to tell a great story. You've got to have good sound. You've got to frame things up and think about lighting, and you're looking at different platforms and where you can send that. You're building an audience, and it was just like this nexus where you really have to think about all those pieces. And I think for me, it's always been video. I just didn't know it. I kind of stumbled into it.
That's cool. And like you said, the seeds of entrepreneurship were kind of always there too, which is the perfect segue into my other question, which would be to any of our listeners who are also young people with entrepreneurial spirit, and especially who have dreams of getting into tech. I feel like this generation's rock stars are tech CEOs, right? Like, I don't know if you feel like a rock star, but like tech CEO is like one of the big things. But if someone else is out there, it's younger, 5 years, 6 years younger than you, and they know they want to get into tech and they know they want to start a business, hindsight now, what would be the best advice you would give to a younger you for someone that really wanted to hit the ground and start and build a successful business?
Get a good mentor.
Okay.
And don't just build cool stuff. Like, think about how you're going to make money.
Yeah.
That's got to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I've heard the term used, too many ugly babies before.
Okay.
where people will just like build ideas, do cool stuff, but it's not backed by any customer discovery or any real need.
Yeah.
And it goes on for way too long, because Louisville is great in that they'll open doors and give people high fives, but it lets things linger a little longer than they should.
Okay.
And so
too many ugly babies.
One of my best mentors is Ed Henson.
Okay.
One of my professors at Bellarmine University, her husband was on the board of directors for the NAB, National Association of Broadcasting.
Okay.
And he helps buy and sell TV and radio stations.
Is that Gail Henson?
Gail Henson, husband? Yeah. And this guy's
coming full circle.
You're really proud for
This guy's dad was an engineer in radio when it started.
Wow.
He
That's
owns
crazy.
stations. He helps buy and sell stations. He works with the FCC. He's involved with one of the largest trade organizations in this industry.
Yeah.
And I went from not knowing this guy at all to like they're my second family. And he's asked me hard questions. He's pushed me to think bigger. When there's been something that was really challenging and I didn't know how to approach it. Yeah. This guy's got a lot of experience, and Ed has been just an incredible mentor to me, and there are others that have come since. Our lead investors, John Wilmoth, was a VP at Nextel and has his own fund, Poplar Ventures. They just made an announcement. It's a $25 million fund here in Louisville.
Wow.
They'll be making investments in companies.
Nice.
And, so find people that have been there, that know what success looks like, that can help you get there, that can push you to get there.
It's cool that you mentioned that. I think it's important that the first thing that came to mind for you, it sounded like, was having a good mentor, because I think most people, when they think about starting, especially when you're thinking about apps or you're thinking about tech-facing business, most people have the images, the cliche images of just like being on the grind all the time, and it's 3 a.m. and you're in front of a computer falling asleep, and it's like you just work, and it's a very solo effort, right?
Yeah.
But what you're saying is, ask for help from somebody that has been there, that knows, get help right away.
Bring in other people from just a team, company, culture perspective, and find people that know the business side of it that can help you figure
especially
that out.
if that business is not your forte. Yeah.
It is easy to burn out. Like, there were multiple points where I thought about throwing in the towel, and there were like natural stopping points where it's like, is this really worth it? And it's really scary to think about, and it's really scary to be in that moment. But I think for me, the other thing I looked at was, there are so many other people that have given up part of their life to be a part of this, to help us build this thing. There are people that are using this product that if it doesn't exist, it's going to have an impact on their lives. Not only what they're doing, but the people that watch the content that they make.
Yeah.
It was like,
just webs out.
This isn't about me anymore. And I just kind of had to push it down. There's a John Mulaney joke. He's talks about like terrible things happening and being upset. He's like, just shove it down until you die.
Like you're in it now.
Well, I can echo the thought. Every success has a really good story. Okay. And I tell the people here that, being able to tell your story really gives you an advantage in having continued success. But there were similar moments, and I don't own a tech company. We don't have I don't have 120 countries worth of, customers, but we sell a lot of real estate. And the truth is there's probably, I don't know, 75 or 80 families that are affiliated with this company right here. And if this place doesn't exist, then those people have to go elsewhere to find their livelihood. And, it really hits me, and these two could, Marcy is behind the switcher right now.
She is the switcher.
She is the switcher.
Yeah.
So, it hits me when we have a company gathering and everyone kind of comes home. Like, right, we go to a company event for holidays or something like that, and I just see how many people. I was like, wow, I remember this one. This was literally just me, like literally me. And I was
remember
doing
when we were in an old dentist office where we were barely fitting, and it was only like 10 people.
God, that was bad. But before that, I was in a 9x9 room in a 7th and Main Street downtown, falling asleep in the middle of the afternoon because I was up at 2 a.m. typing reports, trying to keep the lights on in 2009. And it's just like, was it worth it? Like, I don't know. There were times where I didn't think it was. And here we are. And to fast forward and to echo your sentiment about, it's not about you anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, you don't need any I don't need any motivation to get up anymore. Like, there's plenty there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a testament to a good leader. We just met, but I mean, I think those sentiments are really what make good leaders. So I'm excited to see where the company goes.
Yeah,
we're fans.
We've been at this for a while, but it feels like we're just getting started.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of fun.
That's got to feel cool. I mean, it's like, what was the thing like? Owning a business is like what is it? It's like riding a lion. And it's like, and trying to figure out how to keep it from eating you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, how did I get a lion? And how do I keep it from eating me? How do I get off this thing? Well, you can't get off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. You're signed up. That's it.
And then some of it's too. It's like watching your kid grow up, right? It's like you had this idea, and now you watch it. It's like, oh, you're not an ugly baby anymore. You're all grown up.
There you go.
Yeah, the hand gesture.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
All right.
For those of you
video so you can capture those moments.
For those of you listening on iTunes, I wish you could see the gesture Gabe just made. Go over to YouTube or Facebook and check it out.
Head to our YouTube and watch the episode. That way you can see some of this in action too, which is a perfect way to put a bow on it. I think that's about all the time we've got for today. But For our live audience, make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast. The full episode will be available on the coming Monday. We put them out on Mondays. And in the show notes, make sure to check out the links we have to Switch. Is something funny, Jay? You got something to say?
I'm watching the live feed right now, and I just did the thing that you did.
And you're just catching up to it.
It just caught up to me.
Okay. This is the most meta episode of OUR502. You're watching yourself as we record. All right. Listen, head over to the podcast. Make sure to check out the show notes. We're going to leave links to Switcher Studio there. Also, shameless plug, if you want a discount, we will refer you with our referral code. Make sure to check it out. And if you're someone that's in Louisville and you're someone from a local business and you've always been curious about how you can use video to amplify yourself, how to build your brand, how to reach more people, Switcher Studio is an awesome way to do that. We're still learning about it. We've probably tapped 5 to 10% of what it's capable of, and it's already completely changed what we're doing in this room. So that's about all the time we've got. Nick, anything else that you want to say before we cut it down?
This is wonderful. Thank you all for having us out. I was going to ask, this is super off the cuff, but what if we grab one of the cameras and we can show everybody what Switcher looks like?
Absolutely.
Do like a 10, 15 second closeout. We can cue the music. Just give them a quick behind the scenes.
All right, hold on, everybody. If you're listening, this is what you're missing. You need to go watch the video.
Okay, I'll narrate while Gabe's going because he's going to be away from the mic. So he's grabbing the shot that we have on Nick. If you're watching on Facebook, you're going to get a shot of Marcy over there behind the scenes. And we're walking the camera over, and he's going to show you the iPad, which is the switcher. All the camera angles, all the collateral, and all the little graphics you've seen on the screen as the show has been progressed. So pretty cool stuff, and it's literally just a touch of the screen. So anyway, but for Gabe, since he's off the mic, and Nick, thank you for joining us for our 502 podcast. Check us out next time.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks.